Before we start, how many of you guys have used AI in the last year? Everybody? Almost?
No.
Last 6 months? Last 3 months? Cool. It's like 1:30 today. What about today? There we go. Cool. Okay. I like to do that because every time I do that, I've done that, I would say, I don't know, 7 times in the last 6 months across different areas from Phoenix to here to Vermont. And it changes every time. The funny part is sometimes we get a group that are like totally zeroed out on the 6 month mark. I'm like, oh crap, this is gonna go fun. And then other groups who have a lot just today, which is awesome. But every time I do it, I've done it at different brokerages too. I can tell you that KW agents are using it a lot more than anyone else, which I thought was really interesting. Been to several brokerages and several broker agnostic events, and yeah, KW agents are using it more heavily, which is awesome. I'll also tell you, because you're a KW agent, you're gonna have a supreme advantage next year. So as a member of the labs team, I'm also gonna get in trouble for saying this, but we're developing quite a few AI features for Command for next year. Things that will change the way you do your business, which is awesome. So imagine one day waking up, logging into Command, and you see that Susie has looked at your website X amount of times, has inquired about X amount of properties, but it's been 300 days. Here's the script that you should call her with. Or, hey, these 8 people on your database have all at least looked or logged into your site in the last 90 days. Here's a script to call them with. Here's the houses that they saved. Almost like the heat seeker they introduced for TLs and OPs to go out and find agents. Very similar to what you can do as an agent. And they use all the data points in Command, by the way. So that goes for your contacts as well. So if your contact, let's say you have somebody who you sold a house to 7 years ago, if the average time to buy or sell in that area is 5 years, 7 years, whatever it is, and they logged into your site, but you transacted 7 years ago, you're going to get an instant notification that says this person's ready to transact again, probably. You should call them. Here's what you should say. So there's some cool features that we're developing that I'm really excited about, that all of KW is really excited about. I have no clue when they're going to be out. Don't hold me to it. I probably shouldn't even told you that, but that's what you get today. And there's more coming too. So we already have the listing description feature that you can do in the listings applet and Command. There'll be more things in terms of what your smart plans look like. So just know that we are heavily focused in developing AI features for Command. So super exciting. Now, let's talk about everything else. So AI is really simple, in my opinion. I said simple a lot earlier because most things are, as long as you have a model. Models make everything simple. This is your prompt model. Very simple one. Number one, pick your AI tool. Most important step. ChatGPT, Claude, doesn't matter. Pick your AI tool. You can use Bard. There's a million of them. Pick the one you're most comfortable with. I would suggest ChatGPT. And if you can get the paid subscription, please do it. It's $20 a month. I think there's a wait list. I've been using it since November of last year, so I got in a little early, but if you can get on the wait list, do it.
And that's what's that called?
ChatGPT. Yeah, openai.com. Yeah, 3.5. The reason why I say ChatGPT is the most important one is because it has web browsing capabilities if you pay for it. And if you get the subscription, and that's huge for lots of reasons. But we'll just kind of discuss more why. And then here's my model for generating a prompt. So a prompt is simply what you're asking your AI tool to do. That's all it is. Nothing fancy. But most people start with create a listing description. Guess what it's going to do? It's going to create a listing description for a house that you've never seen or looked at before. And the lack of facts or knowledge AI creates. Realize that. That means the less that you give it, the more creativity it will give you, whether you like it or not. Don't forget that. So in generating your prompts, it's a couple of steps here. Number one is identifying your target audience. This is important for a couple of reasons, and we'll learn more why, but identifying your target audience can be anything from the sorts of old leads, a seller that her motivation is X and their price range is X. It could be Gary Keller. It could be anyone in this room. Doesn't matter. Define your target audience. Number two is setting the tone and style. And this is where you'll separate yourself from everyone else using ChatGPT or AI. Is your tone and style matters. Without the instruction, it will create. And it recognizes patterns. So guess what it's going to do? It's going to give you pattern advice if you don't give it specific instructions. So set the tone and style. And that can be happy, mad, sangry, happy, mad, angry, sad, sangry is a new sangria. Happy, mad, angry, sad, and then the style, it could be poetic or artistic or whatever, professional, doesn't matter. Set your tone and style. Again, this is where you'll separate yourself from everyone else using it. How many times have you logged in to Facebook, by the way, and have seen someone use the word delve or something fancy that they don't use in their daily life? That was a ChatGPT created Facebook post. I had never seen that word used so many times in my entire life until here recently. But I can log into Facebook today and find 10 Facebook posts that are 1000% AI. They're not human. You can tell from the sentence structure all the way down to the words they're using. And that's what you have to be really careful of. If you dehumanize yourself or take away what your true value is, you're using AI all wrong. Because AI is here to make you smarter and more efficient and more equipped to handle any situation that you put yourself in. That's all there is to it. It's not here to replace you. It's not here to make a robot and sell the houses for you either. Simply here to enhance your superpowers, not replace them. Please remember that too. That's the question I get the most is, when will AI replace me? I get that all the time now. Every talk I do. My answer is always, it won't. It won't.
This ChatGPT, does it prompt you to do this, like setting up your audience, or you just put in like all that?
No, this is,
You could do this, like share your screen and like do one and show us how to do one.
we may get to that if we have some
That
time.
would be awesome.
I usually don't because I'm awful at typing on live and then I
Well-
misspell things.
There's YouTube videos.
You can't talk, yeah.
It's real simple, they just go and type out what you want, so he doesn't have that easily type on YouTube.
AI for dummies.
Yeah, there's probably several videos titled that, I would say.
Yeah.
But it's really simple, I promise. You just hit start a new chat and you input what your prompt is. That's really it. I promise. It's super easy.
Start a new chat.
Start a new chat, that's it. So again, setting the tone and style is super important. And then proper formatting. This is where you get really frustrated with AI. When you say, write me a newsletter and you didn't tell it how long or how short, and it comes back with 3 sentences or 8 paragraphs, it's probably gonna upset you if you want to direct the latter, right? So tell it what you want. Do you want 3 sentences? Do you want 8 pages? Do you want it all formatted in one big long paragraph? What exactly do you want? Tell it. Because again, we're gonna keep saying it, and the lack of instruction it will create. And then lastly, my favorite one is desired outcome and goal. What is your result of this output that ChatGPT or Claude or whatever tool you're using will give you? What's your ultimate goal? My ultimate goal is to get a response from Gary. So I told it that. Like, how do you get a response from a CEO of a Fortune 500 company? So tell it your desired outcome and goal. And then review and improve. Review and improve is arguably the most important step. This is where you go from being like everyone else using it, again, kind of like the set and tone and style, to you're now human and you're enhancing your superpowers. It's reviewing and improving. And that could be changing a couple words, changing the sentence structure, taking out one thing. But if you just copy and paste, you're doing yourself such a disservice. It's ridiculous. I promise. Because people using it will call you out pretty quickly. In fact, I did not review and improve on one of my posts. And I posted a snippet of marketing for my descriptionwizard.com tool. And someone under it said, cool, you should have used AI to perform a better marketing post. I was like, sweet. It used the word, I was joking about delve earlier. It used the word delve. And I didn't read it all the way. It was like 2 paragraphs long. I was like, let's get it out. It's great. So people will call you out. You realize that, especially your clients who or halfway versed in AI, we'll probably call you out. We've had some of our newsletters called out for AI writing. So think about it and really review and improve everything that you're getting. It's important. You were gonna say
I was
something.
gonna say, if you ever think about adding a fifth step, maybe just put thank them, in case they do take over, in case AI does.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No, they make those polite.
yeah. I will say, this is,
You do get a response.
I was, yeah, I always
So
say.
like, you're welcome, people.
I will say, when you talk nice to it, it actually is very nice back. So, and we'll talk about that in a second too. So these are the two sites. These are QR codes for ChatGPT and Claude.ai. I like Claude.ai for one reason. Claude is less creative. It's more matter of fact. It doesn't search the web, but it's trained on different sets of data. And know this, AI is only as smart as the data it's trained on. Only as smart as the data it's trained on. So without it, it's just a tool, it's a machine.
Which one of
Texting,
those did you prefer?
I love ChatGPT, but ChatGPT is really creative. In the lack of instruction, it's gonna create anything. Claude is a little bit more matter of fact. It's gonna tell you down to the point, it aims to be more accurate. And the best example I have of this is, if you say, create me a listing description for 123 Main Street. ChatGPT is gonna come up with the coolest description ever for a house that doesn't exist. And Claude will ask you, where is 123 Main Street? That's the best separator I have for the two. Cool, this is a bad prompt. Create a newsletter for my real estate clients. It's a terrible prompt. Doesn't say any of our 4 goals, right? We have target audience. Real estate clients, is that a target audience? Not really, right? It's not very defined, at least. We have no tone and style in here. We have no sangria in here. And we don't have proper formatting, and we don't have our desired outcome and goal. None of it's here. That's a good prompt. You don't have to take a picture unless you want to. So this is the exact prompt that I use sometimes to create our newsletter. It's got our target audience. It's got our tone and style. It has our proper formatting, and it has our desired outcome and goal. Every single thing you need in your prompt. It looks super long. I promise you, it doesn't take that long to type out. And by the way, if you don't know your target audience, ask AI to define it for you. I think it's this. Can you tell me or ask me some questions to help me define my target audience? It's going to ask you some questions. It's going to help you define your target audience. It's like a coach in your pocket at all times. It's amazing. There you go. If you don't know a tone and style, tell it your desired outcome and goal and say, help me pick a tone and style for my desired outcome and goal that matches. If you don't know the formatting, ask it, what do you think's best? Here's my desired outcome and goal. How long or how short should this be? But this doesn't take as long as you think it does to make this big of a prompt, I promise. And in fact, you might conversate with AI for 30 minutes before you find a good prompt if you don't know this already. So as you're first learning, it may take you a while because you're conversating back and forth. Then you'll get the hang of it and you'll roll. Much easier after that. Any questions on the prompt? No? Okay. I like to talk to AI as if it were in the room with me, by the way. So you mentioned being nice to it. Do we ask anyone in our life to do things with 3 really short sentences? Write me this. Get me that. We don't do it to people that we like, right? So talk to AI as if it were in the room with you. Be nice to it. Or at least be conversational with it. You don't have to go over the top and say please and thank you every 5 minutes, but you do have to act as if it were going to conversate back with you. But if you tell it 1 sentence, 2 sentence commands, it's not really conversational at that point. The thing I like most about talking to as if it were in the room with me is I'm learning from it, it's learning from me. I'm giving it more data. If I'm going to reuse a chat, for example, if I'm doing listing descriptions and I'm talking to it as if it were in the room with me, how do I word that this house has a $100,000 kitchen without saying $100,000 kitchen? Cool. Now it knows how to word that in the future. Talking to it as if it were in the room with you will give it more data, and it will also prompt it to ask you more questions about what your desired outcome goal is or what your desired output is. So talk to it from in the room with you. And one of my favorite parts about AI is asking it to review itself. So act as my target audience and provide feedback on why you would or would not open, read, and click on the home value link in my newsletter. Based on your responses, I will ask you to rewrite or reconstruct the newsletter to ensure that the ultimate goal of open, click, read is achieved. Now, the cool thing about this is you're getting in the mind of your target audience. Outside of asking ChatGPT to do this, I get to ask my wife to read it, and she's super biased, and she's going to tell me it's amazing. I have no one else to really bounce it off of that I'll get some real honest feedback from, right? This is not just for newsletters, by the way, it's for any output. But act as your target audience, review and improve it. And what it's going to do is potentially ask you more questions about your target audience. And if it doesn't, you should tell it more about your target audience. But what it's going to do is give you some actual feedback on this is too long, doesn't make sense. I would like more information here. I would like less information there. Put the link up higher. It gives you real-time feedback. And that's important because again, like how often can we get in the mind of our consumers? Another cool thing about this is think about going to a listing appointment and you want to practice your listing spiel in your pricing structure. ChatGPT, my target audience is a seller who needs to move in the next 6 months. She wants to price her property X. I think it's way overpriced. I want to price it here. Help me work on my opening line of remarks. Copy and paste your opening line of remarks in your pricing structure and act as my target audience and give me feedback on what I'm saying. And explain who you might think that person is. So don't just say their desired outcome and goals, but I perceive this person to be an A personality type or a B personality type. They're short or they're quick-witted or whatever. Explain who your seller is, and then you get to script practice ChatGPT. It's incredible. It'll find something in your presentation too that you're like, this is amazing. And you tell ChatGPT and you're like, this sucks. It's great though. It's honestly made me more equipped for any situation or anything that I've dealt with in the last 12 months. True, I can truthfully say that. So this works for buyers, sellers, doesn't matter. This works for tough conversations. This works for family life, by the way. I was joking with my wife and I created a wife GPT. And I told it we hardly ever fight. I think we've had like 3 fights in the 8 years that I've been with my wife, and we still have like these hot button words that obviously cause a reaction or a conversation, right? So I told ChatGPT, I perceive my wife to be blank. I perceive myself to be blank. We have problems with these hot button words. Tell me how to respond in a way that would make us both feel at ease when the next time it pops up. And it gave me back some really clear instruction. So I didn't tell her I was doing this exercise, but I waited till one of those words pop up. It was like the next week. And I responded the way ChatGPT told me to. She goes, who the hell are you? And I told her I was AI. I was like, ChatGPT. And she was like, what? I was like, how did it make you feel though? She goes, it worked. Sweet. So, but that just like goes to show you the amount of technology, like the amount of data that goes into this. And if you give it what your circumstances are and you give it the right prompt, you can handle quite a bit of conversations that you weren't able to handle before.
Okay, I have a question. So what it feels, I've never used this at all.
Yep.
Not one time, one thing, nothing. I have no idea. Not been on there. So I don't know if but what it feels like is I'm having to give it so much information. Why don't I just write the daggone thing myself?
Yeah, beautiful question. Thank you. That was the next part. So perfect segue.
Well,
I got the perfect example. You'll learn as you do this, because when you put too little in, it'll tell you to contact a local real estate expert. And it'll make you feel really stupid. You'll learn as you go. I did. One of my first ones I said, come on.
So it's a great question. And I often talk about this. So the reason why you're doing that is the amount of learning you're about to go through just to create a prompt, just to get a better output. The granular level of detail you're now getting down to for your clients, for yourself, for your business, for your family, whoever you're using ChatGPT for, is second to none. Like, how often do you get that granular in your planning? I don't, without it. Like, how often do you like, oh, this looks fine, send it out. It's good. This is a way to get super granular in a matter of minutes with anything that you're doing. So the amount of preparation that might take you 6 weeks can be done in 5 minutes.
Say that again, what,
The amount of preparation that you can do in 6 weeks can be done in 5 minutes. And it's true. In fact, every talk that I've done in the last 6 months are all AI produced. I tell it what I want to say, it feeds me back some talking points, we're good to go. I review and improve it, tell it to review and improve itself based on target audience. We're good. And I think it's worked. I hope this is a good class. But it makes it so simple for yourself, but you get down to that granular level of detail. And what's interesting about that is, again, you're learning so much more about what you're doing. You're asking yourself questions that you probably didn't ask before. You're asking it questions that you want to know more. And everyone that around you that you're using this for is going to benefit from that. Promise.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Look it out.
And then review and improve on your own. And then I forgot to have them pull this up. I was gonna pull the AI playbook up. Do we have can I email them again?
With that,
I need to email the AI playbook to this computer again.
Oh, you email the AI Playbook, it should be on there, actually.
Oh, okay.
I think you downloaded them all on that computer. Let me grab Isaac's favorite photo.
Okay. We're gonna talk about the AI playbook, but a couple things that you can do. So now that you know, any questions on the prompt or what that looks like and why that's important? But
So when you're talking about your, I think you said tone, but here, here in a second. Do you feel like you have specific words that you use every time you're typing something for you? Because what's coming up to my mind is like my brand, like how do I most easily make AI genuinely sound like me as quickly as possible? Obviously review and improve, obviously.
yeah,
But like, I don't know, you mentioned like happy, sad, you know, poetic, professional, and like, but none of those still seem too general. So
Yeah.
how do you really get it down to where it can type me, because I'm not a writer at all, but I'll have a newsletter, so I have ideas of what I wanna say. I don't wanna talk about 5 paragraphs, because to me, that's like, hey. So how do I get as quickly as possible to it being genuine?
yeah,
Like genuinely me, I want it to be genuine, that's my whole thing, like my brand is around that,
yeah.
but I wanna utilize AI, so how do you marry the two?
Great question. The easiest way for me is, now I've written a bunch of articles and poems and all these things, so I have a cheat code. I get to go back and just copy and paste into ChatGPT and say, this is how I write. Can you mimic the way I write? Or find patterns in the style of my writing. But if you don't have that, take some long emails you've written, some newsletters you've written, some listing descriptions you've written that you did yourself and say, understand, find patterns, and truly take in the way I write. And so save that chat, right? Because if you don't save that chat, your next chat's not gonna have that information.
Okay, so it's not, that was another question, so it's not like I have my own personal account and ChatGPT, it's like each time you log in, each time you start a new session, it's learning from that session.
That's right, but your chat, you can label and save.
Well, you can,
Oh, yeah. Okay,
you can just label.
and you
Yeah.
can go back to past.
So
chats.
like I have a listing description one, I have a social media post one, I have a
Gotcha,
personal life situation one.
okay, that's
I got everything.
I think too that your tone's gonna be different for different things, cause
It
I
is.
can be informative for listing description,
Oh,
but
yeah.
if it's a post or something, I'll do usually fun,
That's right.
so.
And then you might have a chat that just changes the way you write things too. So train the chat on how you write, and that's simply copying and pasting some things that you've written. We tell it to recognize patterns and pick up on the way that you structure your sentences. Go really in depth with it. The more instruction, the better, but go really in depth with it. That's a good question. Thank you for that. There it is.
This AI playbook inside the MRA playbook, is that something?
No, totally separate. So this is a totally separate thing here that it kind of you'll mention it in the MRA playbook, but this is a separate one. And that QR code I put up before takes you to it, but Ben, could you have someone email this out to everybody?
Well, it's really, you have your, I can, if you got your laptop, if you go into, if you click connect.
Yeah.
If you go into your command and click on connect in the black bar, scroll down just a little bit, you'll see all the playbooks on the right side. Click on playbooks, it'll pull them all up and you can download it directly from there.
That's the easiest way, yeah.
Yeah, it'd be the quickest way.
And then QR code takes you.
Yeah.
That QR code takes you there.
Or scan the QR code to get up there.
Oh,
I'll put it back up here in a minute.
So I know you suggested using like a paid version, is it more up to date than the free version? I found like there's a lot of inaccuracies about like very specific things in my area. So I'm open to paying for it, but am I still gonna be dealing with some of those things?
Yeah, for that specific scenario, yes.
Okay.
So yes, it's got better data now. It's trained on a totally different set. But the problem is, again, it's only as smart as the data it has. So the developers of the tool would need specific market data for your area
Sure.
without going out and, searching the web for it. So the searching the web process makes it easier, but still, it's gonna come up with some things that are probably inaccurate. Because public data for real estate is not great. It's Zillow or other, inaccuracies elsewhere. So if you want something super specific, I would suggest downloading something from the MLS, whether it be a saturation analysis or a report on a certain neighborhood, downloading everything that you can, uploading it to a chat, an AI or an open AI, and ask it to develop patterns or whatever you're looking for. But if you give it the data and you know it's trustworthy data, it's not trustworthy data, it's a problem. But if you know it's trustworthy data, you can get some better responses.
Okay.
But it's not going to find everything you need, I promise. There are some things that you're gonna get frustrated with that you're like, this is not right. And you can even call it out sometimes. You say, hey, that's not right. Can you find the right answer? Don't lie to me. And we'll try to find the right answer. Good question. Yeah.
On that data, when original chat GPT was obvious that something were missing, it was like November or something,
Yeah.
every the year. And,
2021.
well, this-
Mhm.
So anyway, the question is, I heard that they sandbox it, for lack of a better term, to keep it restricted. But then at some point, they released its ability to search the rest of the internet, and it should be current. Is that correct? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, so if you pay for it, you have ChatGPT 4, which searches the web in lack of information. So immediately, if you ask a question that it knows it can't answer, it's gonna search the web to find it. Now, the problem with that is you don't know which website they're going to. You don't know if that data is accurate. So that's why reviewing and improving is so important. So if you ask granular, detailed questions that are getting on market reports, you're probably not gonna be asked. But if you're asking things like, when was the last time the interest rates were at X on the national average, you're probably gonna get the right answer. It's gonna find an article or two that, collate the data, and put it together, but good question. It was trained on an old data set of a bunch of books and ton of other things that had nothing to do with current events. So there were some wrong answers before. First thing, before we get into this, Jason would kill me if I didn't say the TCPA is real and you should not be copying and pasting text and sending out mass text with the use of AI. You will get sued, or Ben might get sued. But that
what
way,
is this?
we're gonna sue Ben.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah. All right. So, a couple things that are most important to do with AI is one, drafting content. We've already talked about this. Crafting conversations. We talked about that a little bit too. So role playing with any situation ever, whether it be with a CEO of a company or a seller of a property or there, it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter what it is. You can role play. And then connecting other AI tools. And we'll get to what that looks like. We went through some of this already. There we go. All right, so newsletters and blogs, the cool thing about this AI playbook is it gives you the answer already for your exact prompt that you should give it. So download this, we don't have to go through it, but download this. You can copy and paste a lot of these things. Same thing for the listing descriptions, step-by-step instructions in here. And then video scripts, let's talk about that for a second. That's one of my favorite things to do with AI. So if you want to create your videos like we talked about earlier, and do one a week or do one a month, whatever your goal is, I would go to AI, start a chat, ask it to act as a professional marketer specializing in video script writing. tell it what you want to convey. So I want to give out the market stats. Here are the market stats. And I want to show the percentage of homes that dropped their price in the last 60 days, using all the data that you have. Give it all that data, give it your desired outcome and goal, your tone and style, your proper formatting. I want the video to be 1 minute or less. I don't want it to sound too professional. I want it to be fun and relaxed. Give me a script. And boom, it spits it out perfectly. It's really easy. And that way, I find that videos are hard because you don't know what to say. You know, something new to say every single time. Every time. This is, again, a step-by-step 1, 2, 3 of how to get that done here. And then objection handling. We talked about it a tad on going to listing appointments, but how often do you receive a text or an email where you're like, I don't know how to respond to this? Nobody?
All the time.
It's like, am I alone here? Just me and you, buddy. So I love copying and pasting the entire conversation into ChatGPT, give it the context and say, I want to respond in a way that suits us both. Here's the context of the entire conversation. Here's what I want to get across. How do I say it to get us to a resolution? Again, how often do you get to get in the mind of your target audience? Like never, right? Ever. This is your cheat code. The seller says, I don't want to drop my price and they don't want to call you. They only do it on text. Ask ChatGPT to help you respond to it. If they say, I want to cancel the listing, ask ChatGPT to help you respond to it. If they say, I don't want to list until X date, but you know that their motivation is they have to go sooner, how do I respond to this? How do I gently nudge them over the finish line? If your son or daughter is acting up and you don't know how to respond to it. No GPT needed.
Exactly.
Um,
Get the flip flop out.
Off topic, but one cool thing, it's totally off topic, but one cool thing is I'm training an AI bot to answer and act like me. So that way, one day if I die, the kids can chat with me after I'm gone. So it's got my voice included into it that I've trained on several podcasts I've done. It's got all my poems I've written over the years. It's got all kinds of stuff in it. So if I ever die, the kids will be able to interact with me in some way, shape, or form. So,
Do you have a door that they wouldn't have known about, like a story?
oh yeah, we put a bunch of stories in there. We put it's like a treasure trove of old stuff. So they can ask stories about our life. Like there's all kinds of cool things in there. So
If you're like, I told about where you have to ask about it, or.
not really, no.
Okay.
Yeah, you can interact with it. So you could say, tell me something funny about you, and it'll say it. Or tell me something sad about you, it'll say it. So there's some really cool things. Totally fine. I know, I just got the whole class. There you go. That might be the wrong one. Go to. There's a bunch of fakes. OpenAI is the only one. It's white with a big black circle. It looks like this. By the way, you can put it on your home screen for you iPhone users, your Androids. I understand.
May I help you?
That's not it. Yeah, you might want to delete that. Yeah, delete that, hurry.
It looks like that. It says chatbot.
That's not it.
What does it look like?
It's called OpenAI. Make sure it says OpenAI. It looks like this little circle.
Yeah, there's so many scams. There's a lot of scams around this QR code.
Go to the App Store and type in OpenAI. If you have an iPhone, go to the App Store and type in OpenAI. If you have an Android, I don't know where you go, Play Store, I guess. Yeah. Just, yes, that's it. OpenAI is what you're looking for. Don't type in AI or ChatGPT, type in OpenAI.
So is the white with the black?
That's right. That's right. You can use it on your phone, which is really cool. It searches the web on your phone if you have an account.
Marlon, go to your store. You have an Android or an Apple?
I have an Apple.
Someone take my.
Yeah, I don't know how to do that. Paul, get her in the store.
You got an Apple?
Just do that.
I'll get you hooked up when we get done. All right, she got you. All right, so any questions about that, by the way? I know I talked about kid GPT, wife GPT, more stuff. I'll let you guys get done. One of the coolest things I also done is connecting AI to Zapier for a host of things. So I talked about the listing description tool I built called descriptionwizard.com. I didn't do much building. I made a Google form. I connected it with Zapier. I connected it with OpenAI, and I connect Zapier. And I connected that. You don't have to write that down. That's a long process. Don't do that. Yeah, you're good. I don't want to overwhelm you. I don't want to overwhelm. But connected with Zapier, OpenAI, back to Gmail, which spits out responses. So if you just start with the small stuff first, guys, like if this part's overwhelming, please just start with the simple prompting. Because you'll learn over time. And you might get to a spot where you don't care and that you learned enough and you're like, good, this works for me. That's totally fine. You don't have to be an expert in AI to excel in real estate next year, but you do need to be using it in some way, shape, or form.
I think what we can do is, get the general ideas here and then we can set like we're doing the ALC, like
Yep.
committees, we can do like there's an extra training on how to do these.
Perfect. Good. Yes. Yeah, absolutely. So for those of you who want to hear this part, you don't close your ears if you get overwhelmed. So connecting it to Zapier can do a lot of things. If you have an OpenAI account and a Zapier account, you can do things like respond to all of your Google reviews in an instant. Every time someone submits a Google review, you can have it respond to it. And the cool thing is, all you do is ask it to take the review, understand and read it, respond back in an overly positive tone in 2 sentences or less. And if it's under 5 stars, do not respond and email me instead. I don't want it to respond to like a 1 star. That would suck. Thank you so much for your review. But I haven't responded to a Google review in quite some time. Those are things that you can start to do with AI as we progress, and get better with the usage of it. So any ideas or questions there? There's things like enhance your virtual meetings. So you can do, I'm sure some of you have seen it on Zoom, the read.ai or Fireflies or all those chatbots that joined for a while. That's something that you can do. By the way, I use mine quite a bit. Read.ai. It gives you conversation scores. It gives you how long you talk versus other people. It gives you action items. So on this Zoom right now, if I said step 1, step 2, and step 3 is to do X, X, and X, it will literally spit those out in my meeting review. I love it. I even tell myself sometimes like, hey, make sure I write an email to this person. It'll tell me. It's like a little assistant. So read.ai is my favorite one for the Zoom meeting notes.
Is that another app?
Yes, if you go to read.ai, it'll let you download a browser or extension on your browser in your Zoom. And it will record all of your Zooms and give you meeting notes. But it'll also tell you like if you aren't happy enough. So if your tone was too angry or sad, it'll tell you. I like it. Lastly, streamlining your social media posts. If you are not overwhelmed by this, you can connect things like Hootsuite or Buffer with OpenAI and create a content schedule for the next 6 months. I have a business that I run that I haven't made a social media post for the last seven months or so. And I didn't write any of them. And it posts automatically every week. That's through Buffer. So I created a content schedule, uploaded it to Canva. I used a template, uploaded the template or filled in the sheets at least, the rows, and it automatically posts, scheduled them all through Buffer. Buffer, B-U-F-F-E-R. Like Buffy the Vampire.
Are some of those next steps in here that we should go to? I know you mentioned some of them, but.
No, they are for sure. Yeah, there's quite a bit in here. So I am way ahead of schedule. What questions do we have on Zoom or in person?
I'm sure you've seen these as I've seen these models of the AI ISAs, where they're literally answering your phone instead of appointments.
Yeah,
How close are we in the development of that? That's something amazing.
tomorrow. So today, really. I have a meeting with, on Friday, I'm meeting with Wailopo, who has Raya Voice. But Riot Voice is now, instead of text, it's voice now.
They can do it in your voice.
Yeah, it's wild.
Different language.
So, yeah, well, there's different, you can do any language you want.
So you look like you're speaking Spanish.
You, well, these are calls. These are just calls. So the cool thing is, you know, a lot of these things are coming now. I've got a meeting Friday to help us get it into command in some way, shape or form. So it's coming. I don't know when, but it's already, you know, it's being developed and it's here now. So I will tell you this though, AI, again, next year, you don't need to be an expert in using it, but you need to start, honestly. Because you're gonna look up at I would say early Q1 next year and be like, everyone's using AI but me. And it's gonna suck. It really is.
You wanted to have everybody using that, do you have any idea like how much other brokerages are embracing it and teaching it and putting it out there to their agents?
Yeah, it's interesting. Not a lot. So your mom and pop brokerages, definitely not. There's not a lot of activity there. I get to go to some every now and then and recruit and train, and there's not a ton going on there. You know, your online brokerages, we won't say the 3 letters, but they do it. And you know, there's some other larger brands that do it well, but being in broker agnostic events that I've spoken at and been able to train in front of, I get so many questions from KW agents. I don't get a lot of questions from anyone else. I can only assume that means that they're not as much in it as the others, I guess. That's just my personal read on it. I could be totally off, but it's my personal read. I do know that Keller Williams is the only real estate company developing AI technology. I know that. And what's cool to understand there is, do you remember the old video of Gary Keller talking about data like 7 years ago? No one knew what he was talking about. It's like, you got to retain your data. You have to keep your own data. I was like, I just need to sell a house, dude. I don't care. What is data? But he made a video 7 years ago and he talked about data for 15 minutes. And it fell on its face because like 10 people understood what he was talking about at the time. And that's like, I understand it's true genius now. The dude's like an absolute visionary. There we go. And he's right. So Keller Williams has more data than any other real estate company in the entire world because we kept all of ours. So we have, as a new labs manager, and a new member of the KWRI team, I recently found out that we have loads and loads of databases full of contacts that will never be called because it's on our agreements that we can't call people who leave. So if you left the company, your contacts go into a database that no one has access to and can never be accessed ever again. But we have loads and loads of data, much like that you can use to train an AI tool. Transactional data that all lives in command. Is it making sense why command was important now? Transactional data, contact data. You've got search history data. You've got patterns. You've got neighborhood data. You've got profit share data. You've got contacts, like how many contacts you have in your database correlated to the amount of transactions you do data. Think about all the different data sets, like you name it, we have it. And we can train AI tools on that. So even if another company starts to develop AI for their own use, their personal use, their data is going to suck because they're just now collecting it.
But everybody else has used vendors.
Yeah. Well, now they have to go in and pull vendors. So in the lack of data, you have to go pull it and you're getting generalized data from across the country. But we have homegrown data right here that we've been collecting for the last 7 years. So any AI tool that KW puts out is going to be super well trained, like incredibly well trained. Doesn't mean it's gonna be perfect. You know, KW technology sometimes has a stigma behind it, but it's getting a lot better under Chris Cox, the new leader of the technology department. He's an amazing dude, absolutely incredible when it comes to his drive and what he's putting into command. So I'll tell you that admittedly, before I got this job in August, I did not like command. I don't use it at the time. And I didn't want anything to do with it. And now I'm blown away with what we'll have by the end of next year.
Did you say Chris Cox?
Chris Cox, not related. Not related to me.
Do you use, if you're sending out a newsletter, do you actually keep the design in command? How do you get the ones that you take in? Like, are you able to figure that out? Cause that's my whole thing, I wanna use the AI to do
Yeah.
newsletters, to do commands, to say, like, one time we stopped things.
Good question. Designs is the one applet that needs some love right now. So I would tell you that I use MailChimp. I use Canva and MailChimp combined. And it's super simple and easy. It now requires a subscription to MailChimp, of course. But I'm using that for the time being. I will say that it is on our roadmap in command. I probably shouldn't say this either. I'm not supposed to do any of this stuff. I'm like I'm a new guy, so I'll ask for forgiveness later, I guess. Yeah. We do have on the timeline to be able to include HTML and more than just plain text on email templates. So that's coming at some point next year. So then you can upload an HTML to Canva design.
So you use Canva and MailChimp?
That's right. That's right. What else do we have?
What cool stuff are we gonna hear about at family reunion?
I would-
Anything being announced?
I can't say that. There's some things, yeah.
Okay.
I will, I will definitely get in trouble for that one. We, yeah, I can't ask forgiveness on that one. I'll probably get fired for that one. But I would say that there's some cool things coming for family reunion for sure. You know, there's some cool AI things coming potentially. It depends on if we get done or not. And we're gonna have some more AI focused classes. So I'm leading a breakout in AI at a family reunion. And then we're doing a panel right after with some people across the country who are using it really well for their real estate business. So I would love for you.
When the breakout, when I was ready to break out.
Oh, is it on there?
They just announced it yesterday.
Cool. I'm so excited. I gotta go see it. I didn't know it was on there yet. I got asked to do it. I was like, this is
It doesn't like, it won't let me.
so there's gonna be some things announced for sure. We'll have several AI breakouts, so we'd love for you guys to come to mine, of course, and go to others. But yeah, you'll see some cool things. I guess, maybe, potentially. What else we have?
Is there a way to send cards through and get
Postcards? Like,
cards?
oh, like no cards and like Christmas cards and whatnot?
Yeah,
Nah, not yet. I don't think. No.
yeah, I think you can design it, but you can't.
Right.
Send it.
That's right. Yeah.
So that's.
I don't.
Now, I will say, Command uses real mailers. That's what they use to send the mail. So if you go to realmailers.com, you'll probably get slightly upticked in pricing for going there, but realmailers.com will do the same exact service.
So that's like one of those attachments.
I use realmailers.com. I told you I started. But realmailers.com for just holds and I was using Command, but we only have the 3 options, right? So I already designed our own thing. So I use that for anything that I'm sending to a neighborhood or a community or a zip code. I use realmailers.com.
Birthday, anniversary, that kind of stuff.
I can't hear you very well.
Birthday, anniversary kind of cards.
Yeah.
So
I know.
would it be through command or are you sending it externally?
External. What else?
You said you don't stand for your postcard?
No, not currently. Well, so you have those 3 options, those 3 design options, the sizes. Yeah, the sizes. So we have something we've been doing for a while and I just didn't want to quit.
Is it smaller or?
It's like in between the small and the medium. I've been using it for the last like 6 years, so it's a comfort thing, I guess.
Okay, I just was wondering, I should have reduced your size.
Yeah, I do use the same vendor, the real mailers, so it's kind of the same process, but
What would you use to do a mass import from another CRM?
what are you uploading it to? Depends. Command has a template for import. So if you go to Command and then go to the what's the button called? Learn more. If you type in import, you can get the whole template and step-by-step instructions on how to do it. One thing that I'll tell you guys, in terms of AI goes, if you have any data on your past sales, on your database in general, like a CSV file, you can ask AI to analyze it for you and fill in the gaps where needed. So let's say, for example, I've done over 1,300 transactions with our team in the last 6 years, and I uploaded the entire CSV file of all of our transactions and asked it to pick out patterns for me to help me define where I spend the most time in or where I sell the most in, so I can use more money to spend in those areas. So if you have any past sale data, you can use that for sources as well. Like where does my money come from? How much money have I made on X source? But for your contacts, if you upload those and ask it, which contacts need more data or need more cleaning, that's a good example of what you can do to clean your data with AI.
Just make sure your CSV is set up correctly. Otherwise, I've done these where it's not very asking where it's supposed to be. They'll give you instructions when you're importing the written files, because you'll have a bunch of lines of data. So
For command,
anytime you
Anytime.
transfer, I've transferred and I've seen where they're marked over here and it's.
yeah,
The
make
bedrooms or in the address. Yeah, you just gotta make sure it's lined up correctly, how the instructions are.
Yeah,
Any
make sure-
variable sizes.
there's definitely step by step in the template, or in the article that shows the template, sorry. So follow those step by step for sure. Good call out. All right.
A little bit off the subject, you mentioned that you want something to track all of your transactions and things like that, like.
Green stats. Greenstats.com,
Stats,
yep.
try it,
Greenstats.com.
ask her. Ask her, Scotty.
Yeah, we're soon we're done, yeah. What else we have? Seen people getting up? I know we've been sitting down for a while, so sorry, but
Well, I'm interested, but it doesn't want me to get in.
you're on the wait list probably.
It's here, it's what?
There's a wait list to get into the paid version.
I'm not even trying to pay, is this the paid version? You think I'm?
Wait, listen to the free too.
Is there?
Yeah. I had that, we got things to get.
How did you, what did you do?
What else do we have? You guys good?
That.
Hope this is helpful.
I need to.
No problem. Good? Good. I'll clap too.
Yeah, I need help.
Thank you, Zoom.
Yes.
You guys, any questions on the hour? We're good.